shoulders they were riding was actually starting to erode. So his phrase was, we're using social capital, but we weren't giving it back. So what they felt that they had to do was they actually took some resources and deployed them towards building and strengthening the environmental movement as a whole. Now that meant that their management metrics were going to go down because they were taking some resources away from these, cooking out these lawsuits, to building a movement which is much more abstract, much more difficult, doesn't lend itself to numerical metrics in the same way. But I think that idea of understanding where we, the shoulders of the social context on which we've done our work, and needing to feed back that as well as to benefit from it, is something that we all need to think about. And he was saying that's not something they know how to do. They're all lawyers. Working with other people was not something that they were really good at, so they now have to learn how to do that. So these two things, looking at the question of volunteerism and also asking ourselves about constituency, both constituency to which we hold ourselves accountable and also constituencies in which we have to support in as many ways as we benefit from them. And one thing, returning to the point of generational changes, one of the things we know is that for younger people entering nonprofit leadership positions, management for them is a given. They either know how to do it already or they know that it has to be done and they'll get the skills at workshops like this and other places. But there are many places to get those kinds of skills. But what they don't know as much is they don't know how to lead. So we have built, in fact, a whole nonprofit infrastructure that teaches management because that's what baby boomers needed. But now we need to retool our nonprofit infrastructure to teach people how to lead. And leading is best taught, I think it's more like becoming a master carpenter than it is like becoming, let's say, a nuclear physicist. You know, they don't let you just tinker around in the nuclear physicist lab, you know, on the first day that you're there. But when you're a carpenter, the way you learn is by actually working on chairs and tables the very first day and have somebody coaching you along the way. So it's something different. It's not something that we can teach in the same way that we know how to teach management. So I think we all need to focus to said there were 25 consultants that actually scared me to death. But in all of those in the infrastructure fields, we need to think about how to retool to teach leadership because this is what new people entering the sector, both the younger people and the older people coming from other sectors. They don't need management the way the baby boom generation did. They need some ways to learn how to be leaders. So, you know, a few years ago, a group of women came to visit me from a public housing project in San Francisco. And they came to talk to me because they wanted to raise $3,000. And they wanted to raise that to be able to start a girls' drill team. And they needed the money to buy uniforms and instruments. So when I tell you that women from a housing project came to talk to me about starting a girls' drill team, you immediately know they're moms, right? These are moms with girls. They want to start an activity for their girls. And I had a wonderful conversation with them, and after they left, I thought to myself, you know, some people might say, they shouldn't be starting that drill team. The YMCA should be starting that drill team. Or the Boys and Girls Club should be starting that drill team. Because, you know, the YMCA has people on staff with master's degrees in youth development. What do those moms in the public housing project know about youth development? Or they might say, you know, the Boys and Girls Club has a purchasing department. They can get those things a lot cheaper than these moms can. Okay? So, and those are, this is nothing, both the Y and Boys and Girls Clubs are great organizations. But I think, I'm hoping that you will agree with me that there's something different and infinitely better about having those moms organize that drill team rather than having the YMCA or Boys or Girls Club come into that public housing project and start something. Now, why is it infinitely better? They're going to be less efficient. They don't know anything about youth development that could be learned in school. Right? They don't have any management training. They don't have a strategic plan like those other organizations do. Right? They don't have the signed conflict of interest statement. Right? Anyway, I just have to say, you know, Enron had a great conflict of interest statement, and, you know, the Thomas Edison Middle School PTA does not have a conflict of interest statement, and, anyway. I got off track. All right, so here's the thing, okay, so why is it better for these moms to organize the girls' drill team than one of these professionalized organizations? The answer is that not only will they create a girls' drill team, they will create much more than that. If we let ourselves, they will create a network of individuals, and that network of people will be put to use for many other kinds of things, helping kids with homework, in case there's a fire in one of the buildings, for example. They will be, even if your daughter isn't in that drill team, they will be a symbol to you of what parents can do and about good futures for girls. Even if you have sons or don't have children, they will be a symbol to you of hope and how we can organize ourselves in our public housing project to take control of our own lives and the destinies of our children. So the fact is that none of those things will be in their metric outcomes. So if we only looked at the explicit outcomes, how many girls and how many drill team practices, we would miss entirely maybe the most important impacts of this organization. And the fact is that every single one of the organizations here today is actually like that girls' drill team. You have explicit outputs, right? Number of kids served, number of autistic kids helped, right? But the fact is the unsaid impacts you all have too. We are creating in our communities a network of people that will be made use of for all kinds of things, not just for the explicit outputs of our organizations. We are creating symbols for people and models for ways things that can be done that may not be reflected in our specific outcomes. So it kind of, I'm sure, I hope I'm saying this right, okay, I'm sure he'll tell you if I completely misinterpreted him. But the Montana Nonprofit Association is a vehicle that nonprofits in Montana can use, rather than something that is so it's kind of like, don't ask what the Montana Nonprofit Association can do for you. Instead, we should be asking, what do we want to do which can best be done and maybe only be done through the through the Montana Nonprofit Association. And part of that is because, we sometimes use the idea that nonprofits make use of people to get their jobs done, right? Like we use volunteers to do this, we use staff to do that, we use the board to do this. But in fact, it's the opposite way around. People have a vision, and as people, we make use of nonprofit organizations to get our work done. Whether that whether that vehicle is the Montana Nonprofit Association or the place that we work. In fact, visions are not created by organizations and people are put in its service. Visions are created by people and organizations are put in the service of that vision. So, the core of that vision needs to be, again, who is our constituency and how do we answer to it? What kind of organization do they need us to be right now? What kind of work do they need us to do right